Henry took the easy way out, running a customer complaint on a low-wage worker who had to take a piss when he should have just told her to hose it off if she really cared that much.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
You know, local news is an incredibly important institution, and you know the destruction of local news is really, really detrimental to our ability to know what is going on in our community.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yes. I mean, I'd be curious, those of you who are listening, you know, tell us in the chat kind of what the state of local news is in your area, because I know it seems like most Americans, probably overwhelming majority of Americans, there actually is no resource to go to if you want to find out what's happening at your local school board, your local city council, right, county commission, planning commission, institutions that do have very significant impacts on your life,
right,
as a citizen and as a worker. There is such a lack of coverage.
Right. From a 538 article last year, a growing body of research has found that government is worse off when local news suffers. In fact, inadequate local news has been linked to more corruption, less competitive elections, weaker municipal finances, and a prevalence of party-line politicians who won't bring back benefits to their districts. It does get a bad rap, though, sometimes, local news, for reporting on silly things and basically running with any story that they can get their hands on. And unfortunately, we saw an example of that last week with WBRC in Birmingham. Adam, let's take a listen. Let's take a listen to that clip.
On the 4, caught on camera, a woman in Centerville is upset after seeing disgusting images on her home surveillance video when a FedEx delivery driver arrived at her home.
Yeah, she says the video appears to show the driver throwing her package on the ground, then urinating nearby. Brian Henry has more on this from Bibb County.
It happened Wednesday afternoon around 1:30 when a FedEx driver stopped here to deliver a package for the homeowner. Then afterwards, a very shocking situation. The camera on the house captured a disturbing image. The driver urinated in the customer's driveway.
Walked over here to my gate and just dumped my package. It damaged the box. Luckily, it was just dog food. Yes, luckily it was just dog food, but it damaged the box. Proceeded to walk over here. Guy in the back of the truck shut the door and just peed in my driveway. I'd say right here, that it did look like the truck was right here, and he did pee at the back of it. So I'm assuming this is the general area. I mean, I was really just baffled. Like, I didn't know what to think at first. I mean, of course, I was, like, ill. I was angry. I tried to get in touch with FedEx. I tried to call them. I tried to figure out if I could email them. I've tried to send them a chat on Facebook, to no avail.
So far, no response from FedEx. In Centerville, Brian Henry, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
Whew.
Wow.
You know, first off, like, let's talk about the fake outrage that a disturbing image. Really? Was it really actually disturbing seeing the back of a guy as he takes a piss? Like, is that actually, are you really disturbed by that? And the lady also said that he, quote, threw the package over the fence. For folks that are just listening, like on the podcast, and you can't see this, he pretty easily set it on the other side of the gate, you know. Like, he didn't make sure there was a pillow on the bottom of it, but he did not throw it. He set it on the other side of the gate. I cannot, for the life of me, understand the mindset that you've got to be of this woman who calls the news on a guy who just had to take a piss. But even more than that, like, I can't understand the mindset of a journalist to take this story to air.
I guess there weren't enough car crashes and arrests that day.
That's just crazy. I mean, what are journalists supposed to be? They're not supposed to be tattletales, people who punch down report on every uncouth thing that some worker does. They're supposed to speak truth to power. They're supposed to investigate politicians, bosses, even corrupt union officials. You know, there should be reporting on that. We should know what our union officials are doing, and that's a legitimate play. But putting this guy on blast because he took a piss? It's disgraceful. It is disgraceful. Like, if she's really that upset about it, she can take a hose. She can wait for it to rain. I mean, animals are going to piss in your yard and on your driveway all the time. It does not matter. It does not matter. And sure, like, we can say it was uncouth of him to do. Who cares? Who cares? I mean, there are plenty of real stories that you could have made out of this.
Right.
How long are FedEx drivers expected to drive without a break? Do they have air conditioners? How much money do they make? Right. If they don't have air conditioners, they might be having to drink water all the time to keep cool.
Yeah, I mean, this happened during a heat wave.
Right.
It's July in Alabama. It's hot. It's humid. We don't know how often this worker gets to make a stop to use the restroom. We don't know what the monitoring is. Right. Like, you know, how strictly does his management monitor when he does stop to use the restroom?
How much does his management make? How much do FedEx supervisors make? Do they get breaks? Do the workers get breaks? Do their routes have designated places to use the restroom? How do the working conditions compare to UPS, a union employer? Have there ever been any government response to long working hours without breaks at FedEx? I don't have answers to all of these questions, but those are actual legitimate questions, investigations that you can make from this story.
Were you so journalistically inclined?
But no, Brian Henry at WBRC took the easy way out, running a customer complaint on a low-wage worker who had to take a piss when he should have just told her to hose it off if she really cared that much. Really, really, really pretty gross. I reached out to Brian Henry to ask if FedEx had gotten back with him, and he said that there was no response or indication that the FedEx employee has been disciplined, which, good. I also asked him if he was proud to have done this story and if he thinks it was a good use of his time and WBRC's resources, and this is what he said to that, quote, "I'm not sure I would say it's a story I'm proud to have done. I've done so many stories over a 36-year career in 5 markets. They all sort of blend together for me at this point." Great.
Come on, Brian. Do better. Do better.
Love it.
I try to be as sympathetic as possible to local news reporters because I know that their working conditions are less than ideal. I worked pretty closely with a number of reporters when I was a staffer as a labor organizer. You know, I frequently reached out to them, sent them press releases, conducted interviews with them, did plenty of off-the-record conversations. So I know that, you know, it's not unusual for them to be given these urgent deadlines. You know, I knew when the reporters were calling me at like 2:30 in the afternoon, they were desperate to have something ready by 5 or 6.
Right.
And, you know, honestly, they weren't even that concerned about what it was I was going to say, as long as I was willing to go on camera and give them some content.
Right.
Which obviously that worked well for me in some cases. I was able to advance workers' stories and issues that were important to us by taking advantage of that. But I also know that a lot of these local news folks, they're not, how can I put this? They're not all the most journalistically inclined folks, I guess would be the nice way to put that. And the local news stations are not necessarily looking for hard-hitting investigative journalism. I ran into some reporters that I worked with here in the Huntsville area who actually wanted to do hard-hitting investigative journalism, who were frequently stymied by their own management at the station, or when they were facing obstacles from local government, such as Mayor Tear Gas Tommy Battle, to name one. Elisa Farrell, school board president of the Huntsville City Schools Board of Education, to name another. When they ran into obstacles from these sorts of people, the station would throw them under the bus. So, even those like young reporters who were on fire, wanted to do real groundbreaking stuff, wanted to speak truth to power, as you said earlier, they ran into obstacles. You get thrown under the bus by management, or in some cases even disciplined by management. Suddenly your urge to do such investigation goes away.
Right.
And without the protection of a union, because, these folks need unions too. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, certainly in our area, the reporters and other employees at these news stations are not unionized. And so, again, they're taken advantage of. And the business model of local news appears to be basically do whatever the local law enforcement community and real estate developer community want you to do.
Right.
That seems to guide the content, and that's why it's nothing but arrest reports and car crashes and property development, always framed in the most positive light towards the developers. And any story regarding crime or criminal justice, they might as well be stenographers for the police. Mm-hmm. I will never forget the June 2020 police riot here in Huntsville, as I witnessed the reporter on the ground and their camera footage being contradicted live on air by an anchor back at the studio, who was literally telling us a different reality from what his own colleague was broadcasting. Don't believe your lying eyes on the screen. Listen to what I have to say, Mr. News Anchor. That stood out to me, and I don't think I'll ever forget that one, just because it was so dystopian to be like over the top, really. But I guess I'll get off my soapbox there. But again, there are some good people doing good work, or at least attempting to do good work in the existing media apparatus. But local news has shrunk. Local news has shrunk down to mostly a handful of television stations, which do news-ish entertainment.
Yeah.
And we are all that much worse for it, because we need people reporting on what's happening in local government. We need people reporting on local issues relevant to working class people and to our communities and neighborhoods. Not garbage like this. And we certainly don't need the punching down.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you're not able to do any big, hard-hitting story.
Right.
And it's another to actively use your platform to punch down at some, random worker.
Right.
Who's not even actually, it would be one thing maybe if this random worker was like, I don't know, berating black people, calling them the N-word. That would be one thing, theoretically. But this wasn't even that. This was a guy who was working long hours for low wages and had to take a piss. And did so presumably in the best place that he could, the most discreet place that he could. I don't know. It's just, it's really frustrating. Yeah,
for sure. And when local reporters do good things, we celebrate them.
Emily Mosner at WHNT and Megan Plotka at WAFF and Madison Neal at WHNT. They've all done some really good labor stuff recently.
Right. I just sent a message last week after I saw Madison Neal's report on WHNT regarding the Starbucks, regarding the KFC worker walkout. And said thank you for centering worker voices in a worker story.
Yes. That was great.
And I think that's important that we reinforce when we see good coverage happening. Let's reach out and express support for that and engage with it. Since of course that's what management's caring about. How many clicks are they getting? How many shares are they getting? Let's do our best to support those who are supporting us. But we will definitely call out the bullshit when we see it.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.